Barcelona staged a real shootout in the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund. And what a stunning show the Germans and Spaniards put on. Arsenal's confident victory over Monaco. Historic defeat of Manchester City. The underdog Guards could only win once in the last 10 matches. This time the Englishmen defeated Juventus. The World Cup in 2034 will be held in Saudi Arabia. Human rights organizations are shocked by the decision of football officials. We talk about this and much more today with Druzia. This is Dose of Football and the top 10 hottest news to this hour. Druzia, the terms of the deal remain the same. With you, 5,000 thumbs up. Today we have a new video tomorrow. Well, I wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. Paul Pogba has terminated his contract with Juventus and has become a free agent. The Frenchman will have no problem finding a new club. The only question is how much it will suit Paul and his ambitions. Hovbeck has some absolutely crazy options. Even during the disqualification of the semi-finalist, when no one knew that half of it would be asleep, Pogba was offered to break into the Russian media league. Now they are calling Pogba back to Russia again. Ari, the new sports director of Moscow's Torpedo, announced. Pogba to Torpedo? That would be huge. He's currently a free agent. We'll consider him as a candidate. He's a football legend. He can still be of benefit. First and foremost, I will talk to the president of Torpedo. We will define our plans and start working. Ari did not disclose how Makar plans to deceive the club. Pogba has more sensible options. If we go by the bookmakers' odds, then the best chances are with Marseille, Inter Miami, Al Hilal, and Atlanta United. On the comeback, in Manchester United are given odds of 17. Based on rumors, Pogba aims to remain in top-level European football. Combining Bukov's conclusions and rumors, we get that Paul will join Marseille. The same is written by Jacobi. The Frenchman has already made a choice, and in January will become a player of the Provençals. Probably one of the best available options. Pogba will appear in the league at a level where he is the king and god of football, even without any special efforts. Simply because of talent. If Paul is honest about his intentions to work hard and put in effort, he will dominate the championship. Marcel has championship ambitions. But, understandably, the team will go without a title this season. The Derby boys are now in a much higher position in the tournament table than they should be. Instead of Marseille, we expect 9th in the points table. In reality, Marseille is 2nd, often struggling to escape the press despite having Højbjerg and Rabo. The team needs to improve in possession. The defense is missing one more player to control the pace. At the same time, if the opponent aggressively presses from the high defensive line, capable of pulling ideal long balls across the entire field to the foot of the conditional greenwood. And Pogba's long passes are real magic. In general, he will fit into Marseille as a native. For many years, Manchester and United fans have blamed the Glazer family for all the club's troubles. Devil's advocates breathed a sigh of relief when Sir Jim Ratcliffe bought a portion of the team's shares. But so far, things are not going so smoothly. Some fans on social media are saying that things have gotten even worse under Ratcliffe than they were under the Glazers. Judge for yourselves. During his time at the helm of MU, he extended the contract with Erik ten Hag, only to fire him later, which cost millions of pounds. He appointed Dan Ashworth, buying out his Newcastle United contract, only to put him on leave. Ticket prices have risen considerably. There were mass layoffs within the club. At the moment, the worst results on the field since 1988. In 28 games in the APL, only 35 points have been scored since Redcliffe's arrival. Sir Alex Ferguson has been fired. The club also tried to save on Matt and Basby's relatives in Little Basby. The fans now clearly have less optimism, although some positive changes cannot be ignored. After all, the team could be led by sheikhs. The publication revealed interesting details. Turns out, the Glazers twice told the caterers that they were priority buyers, and the deal was close to completion. Sheikh Jaisim already had a plan of action developed after the club purchase. He was planning to pay off all of MU's debt promptly, after which Grant would have been removed from the New York Stock Exchange and would have stopped reporting to minority shareholders. Sheikh Jaisim was also planning to build a new arena for MU, which would have been one of the largest and most modern stadiums in the world. Under Qatari, Sir Alex Ferguson would have received a position on the advisory board. And if you're a United fan and you've already started drooling at the thought of all the grandeur that the Sheikh would have concocted, don't rush to get upset when you return to reality. Infidel Mail reports that Qatari support for United remains strong. He won't rush to buy another Premier League club. It's all because of his love for EMU. Yassim is confident that he will have another chance to acquire a grant in the near future. The Sheikh will spare no effort to realize the dream. Glazers seem to have planned to gradually get rid of United completely. So, Yassim will try to buy their share, after which he will become Redcliffe's partner. Matvei Safonov's error against Bavaria has notably weakened his standing at Paris Saint-Germain. He sat out 3 matches in a row on the bench. Also, not everything is going smoothly in Safonov's life. He lost his previous alimony court case. The court rejected the appeal and ordered him to pay his ex-wife Anastasia 25% of his income every month. Next up is another hearing on Safonov's debt to his former wife, amounting to 500,000 euros. Matvei and his lawyers aggressively responded to the appeal decision. They initiated 5 lawsuits against Anastasia. The topics discussed include the apartment for the daughter, communication arrangements, car, payments, potential alimony, and the child's residence. All this cannot but affect Matvei's game. It's quite possible that partly because of this, Safonov came to the bench. Nevertheless, Gianluigi Donnarumma has not yet given up the idea of leaving Paris, where Luis Enrique does not value him as he deserves. According to Todd Fischais, the Italian is planning to continue his career in Spain or in Italy. His agent will try to push the client to Barcelona or Atletico. In Barca, Flicka Gigi has nothing to do. Without footplay, there's no way. How often, honestly, does he come out on the field? Remind me. Despite Peña's success on the ribbon, Polican remains the top choice due to his passing ability. And, well, because of his youth, of course. The option with Atletico is more realistic. Oblak has been off lately, and his foot game is average. Semenov doesn't seem to be that principled about this component. The source also says that Donnarumma could move to Inter or Juventus. Michele De Gregorio plays for the Turin team. He passes beautifully and the beast in shot-stopping. Despite having less top-level experience than Donnarumma, I've discussed Inter before. It's a fitting club for Inzaghi if he can accept some of Gigi's shortcomings. And Kuiper himself agrees to go for a final break with the Milan fans. But I would rather go to Atletico from his place. There are real hooligans among the Rossoneri Ultras. Some of them are under investigation right now. The Italian press reports on an actual mafia. Of course, you can hire security, but in Spain, Donnarumma will still feel safer. Alphonso Davies has still not decided on a new club. He was once very close to Real, but his standing with the team has significantly diminished. According to Cadena Ser, the Madridistas are increasingly doubting the transfer of the Canadian. And not because they don't want to sign him. Los Merengues soberly assess their chances and believe that the current situation with Davies requires a 15 million euro signing bonus and 16 million euros per year for a new contract. Real has no intention of playing games or competing with other clubs in terms of potential salary offers. For Madrid, it's important to be the player's priority, almost regardless of financial conditions. Davies' demeanor clearly shows that this is not true. Bayern has twice connected with Alphonso recently, and such attention from the Munich side has flattered him. Meanwhile, the footballer's agent is doing everything to get the maximum offer from the Reds. He told management that Real Madrid and Manchester United representatives have contacted him. The Red Devils are also pursuing Davies. Ruben Amorim believes he is the ideal winger candidate. Emu will definitely sign a player for this position. In fact, he doesn't struggle with the perpetually injured Luke Shaw and Tyrone Alassi. United is ready for the race and is putting a hefty budget on it. Currently, the Red Devils are far behind Madrid and Bavaria. Madrid is determined and expects to get a final answer from Canada no later than January. Otherwise, they will tell Davies to go further, and we'll have to start looking for alternatives. I would bet that Alphonso will stay in Bavaria. Recently, the negotiations have been advancing well. Davies even agreed to make concessions. Vince and company is persuading him, with whom he quickly formed a warm relationship. Moreover, Davies is showing excellent football in the Belgian system. The real crisis further weakened the underdog's position in the fight for the player. In general, someone might think that Davies just used the interests of Madrid to get a fatter contract. And who knows how far such a point of view is from the truth. Jose Mourinho was pleased with Fenerbahce's Champions League elimination, or at the very least, he feigned delight. He promptly remarked on its healthiness. We didn't have any chances for a trophy in the Champions League, but now in the Europa League, we're giving it our all. We will dominate the competition and win the championship. Everything is under control. I'm special, the father of Eurocups, mother of dragons, playoff philanthropist. Fenerbahce, even with Jose, doesn't appear to be a strong contender for the trophy at the moment, ranking lower on the list. Yesterday, Istanbul's team defeated Athletic Bilbao 2-0. Fenerbahce has lost its second consecutive match. Jose's team lost to Besiktas and is struggling against the top Turkish championship teams. The Portuguese underdog has not only lost to Besiktas, but also to Galatasaray, the main competitor in the fight for the title. And there's a feeling that it would be better for Kaus to leave Turkey sooner to avoid further embarrassment and not to fall any lower. I've already mentioned that they contacted him from Wolverhampton, but there's another option. Rumor has it Mourinho could replace Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid if the Italian is fired. Against this backdrop, Mourinho was even asked what he thinks about a likely comeback. I will always be a big fan of Real. They currently have the best coach in the world, my friend Carlo. He's doing great. The future depends on the president's desires. Does he want a young coach with great potential like Xabi Alonso, or does he want to continue in the same vein as Carlo, to hire an experienced coach? Or look at the youth division at Raul or Arbeloa? It all depends on this. I think Perez is more likely to pick a young coach. Alonso should simply be the priority, but Florentino knows how to surprise. He came to Jean Ancelotti's team when he was already written off by both fans and top clubs. No one could have imagined that Perez's decision would lead to grandiose success. Perhaps Perez is the Tarantino of football. Quentin revives forgotten actors' careers, and Perez does the same for coaches. Personally, I don't expect anything from Mourinho anymore, except for epic press conferences. But it will be great if he breaks into Real and proves to me and all the haters that we were wrong. And he will again confidently bend the rules, now doubly sure. Officially announced the host countries of the World Championship 2030. The tournaments will be held in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay will also host one match each for the centennial anniversary. Have they thought about the footballers who will have to fly from one part of the world to another during the tournament, which will inevitably affect the results? This is not reported. The World Cup of 2034 was given to Saudi Arabia. Australia previously considered hosting the tournament, but later withdrew their application. Interesting, why is that? Ultimately, Saudi Arabia was the sole candidate. Gianni Infantino, of course, talks about the success of progressive ideas and the desire to unite people through the World Cup. In a divided world, we showed unity. We are inclusive and do not allow discrimination. We want to achieve a positive social impact. However, Infantino's lawyers disagree with this opinion. They disagree. The head of labor rights in sports, Steve Cockburn, published a statement about the decision that was signed by 21 organizations, including the Saudi Diaspora Union, groups of labor migrants, and global human rights formations. The choice is called reckless, endangering the lives of many people. For example, migrant workers who are working on creating beautiful stadiums for the World Cup. The photos and projects of arenas are really impressive, but of course, they are not worth the lives lost. And the media are already writing about the deaths of workers due to unbearable conditions. The same journalists, however, will later calmly go to the tournament. This was announced by the main fan Cristiano Ronaldo, Piers Morgan. I can't stand it for 10 years to find journalists about the World Cup 2034 in Saudi Arabia. As with Qatar, they'll disregard moral objections and visit for enjoyment. In any case, there are still 10 years until the tournament. In that time, the world can change drastically. Lamino and Malu will already be 16. And by that time, how will football and the geopolitical situation look? One can only guess. And keep your fingers crossed that there won't be a fallout. Sir Jim Ratcliffe began to restructure Manchester United at all levels. He fired a huge number of employees, and those who remained had their salaries cut. He removed a significant number of benefits for the club's workers. He is literally economizing on everything, even on legends, including the likes of Alex Ferguson. Radcliffe didn't spare Dan Ashworth either, as he felt that the sports director wasn't involved enough in the life of the club. Rio Ferdinand believes that it's now time to overhaul the United squad and get rid of all the underperforming assets. I hope that the club will also be unsparing towards the footballers who are in the team. Bad players in MU must be expelled from the club. There's a lot of noise around the Red Devils now. As for the noise, there has been too much of it in recent years, including due to leaks from the dressing room. Fans recently discovered that Alejandro Garnacho's brother was the one interacting with them on social media. The Argentine's relative was sending data on the lineups long before Garnacho started in the dressing room, and about the relationship between Alejandro and Garnacho in the dressing room, and about the relationship between Alejandro and his brother. Though, who knows? Maybe the footballer figured out what his cousin was up to. Possibly due to the leaks, Garnacho didn't make it onto the club's untouchable players list. Authoritative journalist Florian Plettenberg reported that in the next 2 transfer windows, MU is ready to sell more than half of its footballers. They will definitely not get rid of Amadad Diallo, Kobe Mainu, Nusaira Mazaru, Mateus De Ligt, Lini Yoro, Andrea Nana, and Bruno Fernandes. United is almost like Paris Saint-Germain. They pledge to restructure each new season. Sometimes they really push for it, but always unsuccessfully. Here's another try. I want to believe it will work out this time. The club's fans have suffered for far too long. Even without Ashworth, the Devils' management is surprising. Take Amar Murata, who was poached from Manchester City, for example, or Jean-Claude Blanc with Amorim at the helm. But now United anticipates success. Let's hope for that. Guardiola stated that Manchester City will be the last club in his career. He aims to complete his contract and retire. Or to the national team, but no matter how, Pep has to leave the city earlier than he plans. City's decline continues. Manchester Grant lost 0-2 to Juventus yesterday. Moreover, Grosjean's game was very high quality. Juventus was not visible in the first half from the beginning of the match. Grosjean closed the Turin residents on their half, pressing, my almost reading. With No City took advantage of this weakness, so that he turned the innovator, modernist reformer, trainer. No City took advantage of this weakness, so that he turned the innovator, modernist reformer, trainer of the scheme fan 272 Thiago Modu into a mix of Jose Mourinho, Max Allegri, and Julian Lopetegui. Evie couldn't do anything in the first half and just endured. The best player of the Turin, Michel Dien in Holland, not using moment after moment. The Norwegian in Holland, not using moment after moment. The Norwegian had the most clear chances this season, not even counting penalties. But he only realized forward was one of the reasons for City's recent failures. The club has won just one of their past 10 matches. This is just a joke. It's simply impossible to believe. In the second half, City's defense collapsed. The team suddenly lost energy, as if everyone's battery had run out at once. Perhaps this is exactly the problem. They just can't get their usual press going. But this is definitely not the only reason, because the defensive play is not just terrible, it's non-existent as such. Juve easily reached the City gates, resulting in goals from Vlahovic and McKennie. City has fallen apart so much that Moto even let Douglas Luiz go, who is not his own in Juve and is clearly warming the bench. City fans tried to leave the Juventus stadium during the match, but the stewards announced over the loudspeakers that spectators are required to stay in the arena until the end of the game. It was painful to watch Pep again. You can tell he has no idea how to get out of this crisis. Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund engaged in a wild match that began with a cordial exchange. Barca didn't immediately open up in their usual mode. The Catalans' game was less vertical. It's unknown where the slightly unsterile possession came from. The Blaugranas appeared fearful of counterattacks, which they excelled at last season. Borussia, fearful of the opponent's attacking prowess, did not hastily retreat from their goal. In the first half, the teams respected each other. They were busy on the field with what Mata and Pep Guardiola were dragging at the press conference before the parallel match. But in the second half, a real siege began, with such a degree and pace that one can only sympathize with the fans who missed something and heard the commentators' screams. A fantastic match, fantastically laminated by Jamal. The Spaniard was doing openly illegal things with his Swede yesterday. And in general, he made such passes that only one assist in the end of the meeting as a result of the partners' relentless realization. Guirassy responded to Rafinha's first goal from the penalty spot. I found Cubarsi's penalty attempt amusing, as he messed it up in his own penalty area. Pau didn't try to break the rules. He was going to trap his opponent offside and didn't miscalculate the force. Guirassy celebrated Chilgam's birthday early. We're setting a new trend. Ferran Torres unexpectedly became Barcelona's main hero. The substitute came on and scored a double. Hunteflick believed that in such an open scenario, Ferran would be more dangerous than Lev, and he was not mistaken. Barca repeatedly caught their opponent offside, despite a few mistakes. Overall, the match was quite even. A draw would have been a fair result. But it turned out to be a victory for Blaugrana in quality. Be sure to check out the review on our Telegram channel. You can find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. This match is definitely worth it. And you can find the rest of the Champions League reviews there as well. Arsenal confidently defeated Monaco with a score of 3-0. Bukayo Saka scored a hat-trick, a double and an assist. In the first half, the Gunners scored once, but could have scored 3 or more times. Monaco vanished from the pitch, observing Arsenal's left flank. Lewis Skelly made his debut there, and almost silenced Saka with his dribbling. I'll also note the long balls of Jakub Akivar behind the defender's back. Yes, even the guys from Arsenal's bench have a comprehensive arsenal. That's exactly why in recent seasons, Pushkare has managed to impose a fight on Manchester City with the full depth of Pep's team bench. Gabby Jesus finally got off the bench and it seems earned a return ticket. He killed 200% moments in the first half. Brazilians struggle with realizations as they face repeated setbacks. But even Kai Havertz hasn't been messing up so openly in the team lately. I pity Jesus. Even in the first half, his social media was flooded with angry remarks. Jesus was lucky to have Bukayo Saka in his team, who solved all the problems in the second half. This season, only 2 players have more than 20 headers. Saka and Salah are 2 of the most consistent footballers this season. Saka's standout match was against Chelsea and Cucurella, but he has been delivering top performances consistently. If he maintains this form, he could be a contender for the Ballon d'Or, with Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, Mohamed Salah, Vinicius, and probably Harry Kane. Also with Bellingham, Haaland, Mbappe, it's hard to believe right now, and Lewandowski. It's not that the poll is bad, it's just that Jamal and Rafinha are playing next to him. Right now, out of all these players, I would call Salah the absolute best. But of course, it can change at any time. Thanks for watching and subscribing. See you next time. My name is Kirill Cast, and this was your daily dose of football. Peace to your house and to Johanga friends.